Okay, so I was supposed to make this video yesterday, but I will go ahead and try to make it now. So if you want to use this to help you, do some last-minute studying, that's fine. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way towards the top, I guess. So the bottom problems, those problems again start off with dealing with the transformations, problems 18 through 21. And you want to keep in mind that you want to do, if the negative is outside the square root, it's a reflection over the x-axis. If it's inside the square root, it's a reflection over the y-axis. And then also keep in mind that the plus h moves you to the left, a minus number inside that parentheses, inside that radical, will move you to the right. Outside the radical, a plus will move you up, a minus will move you down. So that if you look at a problem like 18 that says y is equal to the square root of x minus 4 plus 5, this minus 4 is going to move you to the right 4, and the plus 5 will move you up 5. Okay, so that's the transformations for 18. On 19, with the 2 square root of x minus 3, this 2 right here means you have a vertical either stretch or compression, because it's in front of the x and it's in front of the radical. Because that number is bigger than 1, that's a vertical stretch. If it had been between 0 and 1 like a fraction, we would have said it's a vertical compression. And the minus 3 means 3 down. Okay, so keep in mind again, like if your number is greater, has gotten bigger, in this case bigger than 1, then we're talking about a stretch, vertical stretch. But if it's between 0 and 1, like it was a fraction because it got smaller, then that would be a compression, vertical compression. That's different than if it's in the if it's inside the radical but in front of the x. But I don't think we'll have to worry about that today. On the number 20, obviously that's a reflection over the x-axis. So keep in mind that's a reflection over the x-axis. So because the minus is in front of the radical, and then the plus 1 means go to the left 1. On 21, to meet all those guidelines, on that one, let's see here. Okay, so we're going to take a square root of x, and we want to, let's see, translate it 3 units to the right. Okay, 3 units to the right is a minus 3 inside the radical. Okay, and then 4 units down, minus 4 outside the radical. And then we want to compress it by a factor of 1/2, vertically compress it, so that goes in front of everything. And that would be your function. In this case, f of x, g of x, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so that's how you do number 21. You will see problems like these. They should not be that difficult, and you can just kind of keep working them from there. I would make notes on like how to remember which one of these, what type of movements they are, things like that, and I would put that on my note card. Okay, continuing on, we're into problems that I have gone over before, or did get to go over during the review with classes. Let's talk about this solving radical equations. We're trying to isolate the radicals, so we want to make sure that we have the radicals by themselves. So like on 14, I would subtract 5 to get rid of the plus 5. So I would have 16 minus 5, which is 11. Then I can square that to get rid of the square root and have x plus 1 is equal to 121. Then from there, well, that's actually my answer. X is equal to 120 once I subtract 1. So most of these problems aren't that difficult. I think all you got to do is make sure you pay attention to simplifying the radical. like on number 15, I had to divide by 7. So when I did 14 divided by 7, because there was a 7 in the very front, I ended up with the cube root of 5x minus 7 equals 2. Then I needed to cube 2 to get rid of the radical, and then I add 7 and divide by 5 to get x equals 3. On number 16, since they're both radicals on both sides, I'll just square it. That also means I need to square that 3 that's in the very front. So I'd end up with 7x plus 2 is equal to 9 times 3x minus 2. So notice getting rid of the radical just leaves you that what's under the radical, but anything outside still has to be squared, cubed, whatever it may be. In this case, squared. Then you can distribute, and then you can combine like terms, solving for like variables on both sides. So I'd have 20x is equal to 20, x is equal to 1. Okay, and then on 17, you have this square root of negative 3x plus 33 equals 5 minus x. I'm going to do negative 3x plus 33. I'm trying to get there. Anytime you see like this, x minus 5 squared or x plus 5 squared, whatever, this is the shortcuts for those. And you should make sure that you have those written down in your note card, because that makes it a little bit easier to do those. So that I would say here that 5 squared is 25, 5 times 2 is 10x, and then I have the x squared. I would probably move toward the x squared is in front first. Add 3x would subtract from the 10x, subtract 33 from 25, you get 8. Minus minus is a plus minus, something again you need to make sure you know. Two numbers that multiply to give you 8 are 1 and 8, and then that means I'm going to have the opposite, which would be negative 1 or positive 8. If there are any questions on this, just let me know, and then we can kind of go from there. I think everything else I've gone over before, so I think, if you do have questions on those, feel free to ask me in the morning. I'll try to be there in a few minutes, or try to ask me before you take the test that day, but otherwise that should be enough to help you get going with the review or get going for the test, and I'll talk to you later.